would like to call this meeting to order. The invocation will be delivered tonight by Mr. Hoskins.
Heavenly Father, we often forget that you provide all things that we have. You provide this wonderful day. You provide the rain, the nourishment. You are the person, you are the leader we look to that guides us through all the difficult times. You've never promised us a life without troubles and tribulations. But what you did promise us is that you would be our shepherd to lead us through those areas of darkness, side by side with us all the days of our lives. We thank you for this and all the other things that you provide us. Please watch over this meeting. Please watch over the Cherokee people. Please be with these leaders this evening. In your name we pray. Amen.
Roll call, please.
Bill Anglin.
Here.
Bill John Baker.
Here.
Audra Connor. Joe Crittenden.
Here.
Meredith Fraley.
Here.
Don Garvin. Charles Hoskins.
Here.
William Johnson.
Here.
John Keener. Jackie Bob Martin. Linda O'Leary. Melvine Shophouse. David Thornton. Kara Callan Watt. Bill Cherokee.
We have a quorum, 13 present.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Johnson. Baker, I'm sorry.
At this time, I would like to amend the agenda to appoint a speaker and deputy speaker for the council in accordance with the 99 Constitution that the the Supreme Court has said that we will conduct business under from this point forward. I'd like to make the motion to do it for 90 days to give us time to appoint the other two council members before we make that permanent decision.
Second with a friendly amendment.
Go ahead.
Councilman Baker, I'd also like to amend the agenda to immediately following the State of the Nation addressed by Principal Chief Chad Smith to have our council attorney Todd Hembry provide a constitutional overview outlining the actions that need to be taken pursuant to the JAT decision. And a technical amendment that needs to be made is to switch 18 and 19 on the agenda, because at this time the special election question comes before the issue that the special election would be called for. So unless they're switched, one may be mute.
I would accept.
Thank you.
Motion made, seconded. All in favor of amending the...
Excuse me, Mr. President.
Sir, go ahead.
I'd like to ask our attorney, Mr. Hembry, is this motion in line with what decision was before last in the Supreme Court?
Yes, sir, it is. I believe that it's mandatory that the council choose amongst themselves a speaker or deputy speaker as required under the Constitution to actually carry out the meeting itself. I see no legal infirmity of making it a temporary appointment until the other two, because you are now a 17-seat body, and you must fill those two at large.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Motion is made and seconded. All those in favor of amending the agenda? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carried.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Baker.
At this time, I'd like to nominate Judge Hoskins for Speaker of the Council.
Motion made, seconded. Mr. Hoskins. Mr. Anglin.
Nomination Meredith Fraley as Speaker.
Second.
Made, seconded. Ms. Fraley. Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Nominations cease. At this time, we will vote for Mr. Hoskins. All in favor Raise your right hand. Sir.
Mr. President, I would recommend that we do this by roll call vote. When the councilor's name is called, they state either Fraley or Hoskins. That way it's entered into the record.
You do it all at once.
Well, no, not all at once, just roll call vote.
Okay.
When the councilor's name is called, that councilor will state either Fraley or Hoskins.
Roll call vote, please.
Bill Anglin,
Fraley.
Bill John Baker,
Hoskins.
Andrew Smith Connor, Rayleigh, Joe Crittenden,
Hoskins.
Mary Fraley, Don Garvin,
Fraley.
Charles Hoskin,
Hoskins.
William Johnson,
Fraley.
John Keener,
Hoskins.
Jacob R. Martin,
Fraley.
Linda O'Leary,
Hoskins.
Melvina Shophouse,
Hoskins.
David Thornton,
Hoskins.
Carrie Callan Watts,
Fraley.
Phyllis Yargy,
Fraley.
Ms. Fraley is our new speaker, 8-7. Would you step forward, please? This gavel was presented to me by the Eastern Band of Cherokees during our last joint council meeting, and I think it is appropriate to give it to our new speaker and have it passed down from speaker to speaker. Since I am the last president of the council, it gives me great honor and pleasure to present this to Ms. Meredith Fraley. I'll give you all of that. One thing. Brian is taking Machuski's place.
I think in honor of Joe Grayson, I think we need to give him a big hand for the job well done he's done for all these years.
Thank you very much. It has been an honor and a pleasure being the president of the council. And I thank all of you for electing me the deputy chief. And I think I have the best job in the world. And I thank you for it.
I'm very humbled by the confidence and trust of my fellow council people. There's an old saying that never pray for a task according to your powers, but pray for the power according to your tasks. And I'll certainly need prayers in filling Joe Grayson's shoes. He's been a very good example of leadership. He served as president of tribal council with professionalism and grace, and with the support of everybody. I'll strive to maintain that tradition. And thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Bill.
Okay. Right here.
Okay. Thank you, Gina. Next on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the previous meeting, the May 15, 2006 regular session.
Madam Speaker?
I'm sorry, Todd?
Madam Speaker, the motion to the agenda was to elect a speaker and deputy speaker.
Oh, okay.
So it would be appropriate this time to take nominations.
All right.
I'm in a hurry. Use the mind. Miss O'Leary. I nominate Chuck Hoskins. Chuck Hoskins?
Madam Speaker,
Yes.
I nominate Jackie Bob Martin, COA.
I'll Jackie Bob
that
Martin.
nomination.
Do we have a second on Linda's? Melvina, second Linda. Okay. Okay, any other nominations? Any other nominations? Okay, nominations cease. First, we will do Mr. Hoskin as, start saying general counsel, as a deputy speaker. Roll call. Todd?
I would recommend that the vote take place in the same manner as the speaker took place.
Call the name.
Call the name, yeah. As you call the council's name, they announce either Martin or Hoskins.
All right, thank you.
Joe Anglin,
Martin.
Joe John Baker,
Hoskins.
Audrey Smoke Connor, Martin, Joe Crittenden,
Hoskins.
Mary Fraley,
Martin.
Tom Garvin,
Martin.
Charles Hoskin,
Hoskins.
William Johnson,
Martin.
John Keener,
Hoskins.
Jackie Bob Martin,
Martin.
Linda O'Leary, Hoskins, Melvina Shoptown, David Thornton, Kara Calvin Watt, Martin, Bill Giorgi, Hoskins.
The vote is Hoskin 8 and Martin 7. So, Mr. Hoskin, you are the new deputy speaker. Yes. Okay, can I go on now, Todd? All right. Approval of minutes of previous May 15, 2006 minutes. Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. Next on the agenda is the State of the Nation by our Principal Chief, Chad Smith.
Good evening. It's my pleasure and honor to appear in front of you for the State of the Nation this June of 2006. It's our time that we recognize our citizens, friends, and others who have passed from this life during the last few weeks. Barbara Stahl passed this month. She was the mother of a Bartlesville Clinic employee, Richard Stahl. The former chief of the Peoria Tribe of Indians of Oklahoma, Ron Froman, also passed away during the last month. And many of us who know or knew Ron hold a debt of gratitude because he helped us in our efforts to build 3 elderly housing complexes. It's that leadership and other leadership with other housing programs that we owe him a great debt. And there's many others who have lost family, loved ones this last month. And those are in the hospital and suffering of illnesses. So at this time, I ask for a moment of silence for them and their families. For our Veterans Honors tonight, we honor 2 brothers, Ira Collins and Jerry Collins, for their military service. They are the sons of David Hood Collins, an original enrollee. Sergeant Ira Collins served in World War II with the 2nd Bomb Group of the United States Army Air Force, 96th Squadron. He served from July 1942 to September 1945. He was an airplane mechanic, aerial engineer, and top turret gunner for B-17 bomber flight crew. At 21 years old, he was sent to North Africa in April of 1943 aboard a Liberty ship. His crew flew a mission every day for 11 months. Recalling that time, Ira said, "By the time my outfit landed in Italy on a snowy Christmas Eve in 1943, the 96 had suffered so many losses they were made up of 75% replacement personnel." During his service, Collins received the Good Conduct Medal, Distinguished Unit Badge, 1 Silver Service Star, and 4 Bronze Service Stars. Ira is married to the former Marilyn Jo Barnett, and they reside in Warner. His brother Jerry Collins was in the United States Army in 1954 through 56 as a radar repairman stationed at Ladd Air Force Base, Fairbanks, Alaska, now known as Fort Wainwright. The base was an anti-aircraft site during the Cold War as tensions remained high in the Far East after the Korean War. During the 1950s Cold War, Collins said that when a plane took off in Russia, my outfit was on alert to possibly shoot it down with 75mm radar-controlled guns. Jerry and his wife Suzanne live in Fort Gibson. Would you come forward and let us recognize your service to the Cherokee Nation in the United States?
Put it down so we can see it.
Would you care to say a few words, please?
I would appreciate it.
Can you say a few words for us?
Not very good at words. I appreciate this honor. I really do. I'm kind of winding up my life. I appreciate this. Brother.
Can you say a word for us?
I just thank everybody for honoring us. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you.
J.D. Hummingbird was born in 1961 in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. He is the son of Sue and Nick Hummingbird. He graduated from Cherokee High School, Cherokee, North Carolina in 1979 and joined the United States Air Force in July 1985. His first duty assignment was with the 43rd Civil Engineer Squadron, Anderson Air Force Base, Guam, where he began his 20-year career as a firefighter and received his degree in fire science. He was stationed at many bases around the world, the Republic of Korea, the United Kingdom, and Germany. He also served in Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and Iraq during the First Gulf War. J.D.'s career culminated in being selected as the fire chief of the United States forces at the Europe Fire Academy in Germany. J.D. and his wife, Kara, both recently retired from active service at Scott Air Force Base, Illinois. They have 5 children: Leah, Tara, Drake, Kelsey, and Kerrigan. Would the Hummingbird family come down, please?
Say a few words for us, please.
thank everybody for recognizing us, just like they said, and I probably owe most of this to my mom and dad standing back there in the corner, and these guys too. They put up with a lot. Thanks.
Jake Stopp graduated from Tahlequah High School in 2000. He enlisted in the United States Army in November of 2004. Is currently serving in Iraq with the 2nd Special Troops Brigade of the 4th Infantry Division. Jake has been in Iraq since November 2005 and is scheduled to return in October of 2006. His home duty station is Fort Hood, Texas. Accepting the plaque for Jake tonight are his wife, Nicole Stopp, and son, Dylan Stopp. They live in Kaleen, Texas. His mother, Melanie Stopp, and 3 grandparents, Margaret Raymond, Bob Stopp, and Susie Sanders. If you can come down, please.
Thank you very much. We're very pleased that you've honored Jake. He was supposed to be here tonight, but his leave got changed, so he won't be home until the 20th for a 2-week time with his family and friends. But we appreciate this honor. Thank you.
We want to keep Jake in our prayers and thoughts, and we also want to keep Chad Aaron Cummings in our prayers. He's one of our Cherokees from Rocky Ford. He's currently serving in Iraq in the Army. He's a grandson of Eli and Jamie Fields and the son of Boss and Nancy Cummings. We want to keep them in our thoughts and pray for their safe return. The last presentation for veterans tonight has been previously given, but we wanted to show you a videotape. He was here at the complex last week. He is Wade East Johnson. He served in the United States Marine Corps, and we'd like to show you a video of that presentation.
Lady, it's with great pride and pleasure that we present you with this Cherokee Warriors Award. I know you were a Marine in the Second World War.
Right.
And you have earned this, sir, and you deserve it.
Thank you very much.
You're quite welcome, sir.
I'm very appreciative, very proud.
Well, we Cherokees are proud of our warriors.
Absolutely.
Cherokee and non-Cherokee.
Right. Absolutely.
Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you for your service.
Wade had lost his leg in response to an accident or war injury in World War II, so you saw him on crutches. One of our employees, Indian Child Welfare employees, Lou Stretch, was nominated for My Boss is a Patriot Award by one of her staff, Leonard Gouge. Lou won the award from the National Committee for Employer Support of the Guard and Reserve. Lou, are you here tonight? Would you stand and be recognized? We have the award. And you may have recalled this is the same organization that gave awards to the Cherokee Nation for support of our guardsmen, especially when our employees were engaged. Congratulations. Thank you. Program updates. The Cherokee Nation's Child Development Center was recently awarded accreditation through the National Association for the Education of Young Children. The association is the nation's leading organization in early childhood professional standards for early care and education. Staff are to be commended for providing high-quality services to our young children and their families. Our center was commended for their interactions among teachers and children, the curriculum and relationships between teachers and families. So thank you for your commitment to our young children. And are there representatives of the Child Center here? I think they made it. Also, we have Jamie Hummingbird. He received an award from the Bruce Longhorn. The award was a Bruce Longhorn Award in Excellence in Regulation. Jamie is the executive director of our Gaming Commission, and this award was presented by the National Indian Gaming Commission. So, Jamie, would you let us recognize you? As we have come to know by the announcements and the activities tonight, our 2003 Constitution became in full force and effect by ruling of the Judicial Appeals Tribunal. The majority opinion, and the concurring opinion, framed the issue in terms of inherent sovereignty. And we begin to understand what inherent sovereignty is. Inherent sovereignty is that sovereignty that we had beyond the memory of man, in time immemorial. Before there was the United States, and before we were known in the world community. In 1721, we entered into our first treaty with Great Britain. 10 treaties with Great Britain, followed by one with the United States in 1785, in which we became the political and military allies of the United States. That was followed with 13 additional treaties with the United States. That inherent sovereignty was never sacrificed. In fact, we should note that the Cherokee Nation was never defeated in war. All disagreements, conflicts were resolved by agreement in negotiated treaty, preserving the rights that we had of any government in the world except those specifically treated away or taken by clear black letter law and statute. So we have work before us, and some of that work I think y'all are going to describe here in a few minutes, so I'll not go into that. But I know there's opportunities and challenges before us. We have the opportunity to select 2 new councilmen, 2 new justices, appoint an attorney general and a marshal, and carry out the will of our people at the ballot in 2003. But I think the biggest thing about the court's decision was the assertion of inherent sovereignty. If we want to be a government, we need to act like a government. And I think that was the hallmark of that decision. Last, in community announcements, the council may remember Lightfoot. He came in front of us and we contributed to his campaign, which he went to over 200 reservations and Indian communities, talking about showing responsibility, personal and community responsibility, and staying off of drugs and other poor influences. He's Cherokee. His stage name is Lightfoot, and he's a rapper. And of course, many of us don't quite understand that genre of music, but our kids do. And he came back 2 weeks ago and was just a great success in holding a number of free concerts all around the Cherokee Nation. Teens in the audience commented that they learned from him that rap music can be positive, not only the music, but the message that he held for them. They also learned that what they do in their everyday life has a lot to do with the Creator, and that they can make positive choices in their daily lives that will help them, their families, and their communities. And I was extremely impressed because there was a gathering of our youth choir at 7:30. He and his tour bus had headed back to Tulsa. And on 20 minutes' notice, he turned his bus around and came back and did a command performance for a youth choir to reinforce those positive messages. He had free concerts at the powwow grounds in Marble City. Any place where he could get 2 or 3 Indian kids together, he was there to share with them his message. So I wanted to share that with the council and the body because it was a very wise investment in assisting his effort. So thank you for the opportunity to appear in front of you this evening. We're done.
Next on the agenda, as a result of the amendment from Ms. Cowan Watts, is an overview of the 99 Constitution by our counsel, Ms. Todd Hembry. Before I do that, Todd, I think there are some Constitutional Convention commissioners here, and I would ask them if they would mind standing.
Raise your hand, Todd.
Thank you very much. You did a lot of work, and I know you're proud of what you've accomplished.
I'd like also to acknowledge Ed Jumper, who served as our administrative assistant. He's the one that translated the whole thing both into the syllabary and the phonetic alphabet, and he is truly a living treasure to our people. And also on our commission, with George Underwood from Tulsa, and he had the unique distinction in his life of having served on the committee that put together the 75 Constitution and then was appointed and served on this commission. So I think that George and Ed deserve a special recognition and appreciation from the people.
Thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Hembry.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I once had said, probably on a number of occasions, that I hoped that my grandchildren would be alive to see the 99 Constitution come to effect. Well, fortunately, that didn't have to happen, but it is a, dare I say, historic meeting here tonight. For one thing, this is the first time in well over 100 years that we have had a Speaker of the Council that is chaired by a council member, and that alone is worthy of recognition. There was a lot of work done by a lot of people, convention delegates, commissioners, and no one person can take any semblance of credit themselves, but there are some people that I think we do need to specifically mention. Those are the members of the Constitution Commission itself, Dr. Charlie Gord, Jay Hanna, Gwen, Henry, George Underwood, Marion Hagerstan, the dangerous woman, Ralph King Jr., and obviously, as mentioned earlier, Ed Jumper. Luella Kuhn, the late Luella Kuhn, yes. I regret, too, that she was not alive to see this day. She was part of the Constitution Commission from the inception all the way through the delegate process, and I remember being at her funeral lamenting that it was a shame that she could see this implemented. But I know that Luella is with the Great Spirit and that she is smiling this day. That being said, we could spend all day here on the 99 Constitution, but I know you don't want to do that. So what we will do is just hit the major highlights. At any time if the councilors have any questions of me, also Mr. Ralph King, the chairman of the Constitution Commission, is here to answer any questions, and also Diane Hammond, the formal general counsel, the top attorney of the Cherokee Nation. Will field any questions that they have. And if I overstep or misstate anything, please correct me, you two. First, the legislative branch. Obviously, one of the major changes is Speaker. We have elected a temporary Speaker and temporary Deputy Speaker until we choose the other two council members. They will be represented. They can be nominated and appointed by this body. The court gave us a deadline to do this within 60 days. I would urge the council to take necessary steps to gather nominations and resumes as soon as possible to make effect those appointments. They can be from anywhere within the Cherokee. They can be located anywhere at all, as a matter of fact, and will be appointed to the next general election, at which time any individuals can run, but only individuals who live outside of the 14-county area can vote on those two counselors absent the one-time decision whether you want to stay when vote in your district or not, or vote at large.
Todd, this count has a question.
Thank you. Madam Speaker, may we place the process decision on the upcoming Rules Committee meeting later this month?
Yes, we've already asked you to do that.
Thank you.
Also, there is a question that we will need to determine as to redistricting the 15 seats within the Cherokee Nation. There's also a question there's also the question that this council must decide is how to implement staggered terms, which the Constitution calls for. The 99 Constitution also removed BIA approval over all Cherokee laws, calls for a publication of laws to be available to any citizen of the Cherokee Nation, and also calls for the appointment to a delegate to Congress that the chief will appoint and will be in accordance with treaties that of the 1785 Treaty of Hopewell and the 1835 Treaty of New Echota. This delegate should have floor privileges in the United States House of Representatives. Subject to council approval. Appointed by the chief, subject to council approval. Pardon me. The executive branch, and Ms. Emmons, if I misstate anything, please correct me. As with the council, the executive branch will be elected by, will be elected by the people, but will have a modified term limit. You can have 2 consecutive terms, and then you must sit out, as we said in our Constitution, sit out a term before you could run for another 2 consecutive terms. We thought long and hard on the legal jargon on that, didn't we? Yeah. As we stated earlier, remove the deputy chiefs from being president of the council, and I would want to echo the sentiments that Mr. Grayson, as serving as the last president of the council, did so with utmost respect and dignity. The Constitution and the executive branch also reduces the number of cabinet secretaries from 5 to 3. Those cabinet secretaries, which will be appointed by the chief and approved by the council, is a new office of Secretary of State, Treasurer, and Secretary of Natural Resources. There is a constitutional office of Attorney General that will be appointed by the chief and confirmed by the council, which will have a staggered term, not coexistence with that of the principal chief. There's also the office of Marshal, to be the chief law enforcer of the Cherokee Nation, which will also have a staggered term, not coexistent with that of the Attorney General and the chief. Is that correct? Yes. There are major changes to the judicial branch. First, it sets up the Supreme Court as a true appellate court, and will, I would vastly say, the majority of the cases now will be district court cases that, if you do not like your results, can appeal up to the Supreme Court. The most major change is the increase to the size of the Supreme Court from 3 members to 5 members. They will be on staggered terms on a 10-year appointment. So the way it works out is that there should be a new appointment every 2 years. There is also created a court on the judiciary. The council will elect, or will appoint 2 members of that council, carte blanche. The chief will appoint 2 members, carte blanche. Those 4 will select a 5th. The judiciary appoints 2. Those 6 will select a 7th, one of which must be a non-attorney. Correct? We're going to have a lot of non-attorneys, which is good. The court on the judiciary is to hear complaints about judges, basically. Whether you think a judge is acting outside the scope of their authority,
or is biased or should be removed, etc. The other major highlights is it sets out a specific removal from office clause in Article 10, Section 1. It, in the initiative, referendum, and amendment process, removes language requiring the approval of the United States President or his authorized representative for any constitutional amendment. It will make permanent the election commission so that there will always be in place an election commission. It is up to the council to set the terms for those individuals. But presently, you appoint an election commission, and 6 months after the runoff elections, that commission is disbanded. This will set it out to be a permanent office. With that, I will hand it over to either Ms. Hammonds or Mr. Keene to cover anything of the highlights that I may have overlooked. Mr. Keene?
Mr. Garvin has a question.
Comment and question, I guess. I know you can't do everything in one of these conventions, but you left off one very important one, and that is there needs to be 15 districts. A lot of people have 2 council people. A lot of people only have 1. How could that be fair? So I know it's too late to do anything about it, but something to look at 20 years from now. Each person has 1 state representative. Each person has 1 federal representative. Some of the Cherokee Nation have 2, some have 1. A little discrepancy there, and I think next time around we need to look at that. Thank you.
Mr. Baker?
Yeah. Don, I read the Constitution last night. It does call for us to make 15 separate districts. We've got to apportion it so that each of the 15 counselors represents an equal number of people as closely as we possibly can.
I stand corrected. I'm glad it's in. Thank you.
And that could be found in Article 5, Section 3, Article 5, okay, Article 6, Section 3, which states in the second full paragraph, the council shall establish representative districts which shall be within the boundaries of the Cherokee Nation. 15 of these seats shall be apportioned to afford a reasonable and equitable division of citizenship among the districts, and the remaining 2 shall be elected at large by those registered voters residing outside the boundaries of the Cherokee Nation, voting at large in accordance with this.
Very good.
Ms. Todd, just one moment. Ms. Cowan Watts?
On that same section, at the very end, it says that the at-large shall be created in the same accordance, I would assume, apportionment as the other folks. So what if we end up not having significant portions of out-of-state voters or out-of-district voters, and those 2 at-large are representing maybe 1,000 voters each or even 100 voters each?
Well, the 2 at-large it was the intent, and correct me if I'm wrong, on the commission, was to represent all the Cherokees that do not live within the 14-county area. They are to be elected by members of the Cherokee Nation or citizens of the Cherokee Nation who reside outside the 14-county area. So I don't know if there's one that we could say. I don't believe you can put a district on. I think at large means what it is. At large is that I don't know what the amount of registered voters or the amount of citizens residing outside of 14-county area, but I would assume that it would be a large amount.
Any other, Mr. Baker?
Which I was part of the convention at the same time, but if we redistrict and come up with 15 new districts, then where does it put the people that are registered, let's say in Sequoyah County, when it's quite likely divided? Where do they go? Or do they go to at-large?
Well, they won't go to at-large. If they reside in Sequoyah County, they need to vote.
No. They live in California,
yeah,
but they voted in Sequoyah County, but now Sequoyah County is going to be 2 separate districts.
In Section 3, there you will have a one-time first election choice, of which like that citizen living in California who's registered in Sequoia County, they will get to choose on this first election whether they wish to remain a voter of Sequoia County or go at large.
Or A or B Sequoia County.
Right. Correct.
North or south, east or west.
That is going to be up to the humble brain power of the tribal council to figure that out.
You can.
Yes, I will.
Mr. Thornton.
How are those active people registered in each precinct? They have a precinct that they vote absentee in?
As of today they do. They will get to choose now whether they wish to remain in that district or be an at-large voter.
Then that would be like in Sequoia County, in precinct A, B, C, D, they would be registered in those precincts. So if you divide Sequoia County in half, then they would vote in that half of the precinct, whichever they would register, right?
I'm going to assume that. I mean, and that's something we're just going to have to, work out the kinks to do. I mean, with the decision in the court case gave us till the next general election to figure out these nuances. Is that correct, crowd? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we have had a lot of this sorted out.
Right. We need, and time is of the essence in that matter, so we need to get on it.
Any further questions or comments? Thank you.
Mr.
Keene?
Yeah, let's recognize Mr. Keene.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I won't spend a lot of time going over what Todd already did. What I tried to do this weekend was to sit down and try to make some sense of all these changes, put them in different categories, and then hopefully start to prioritize some of these things just a little bit. Because some of these things are very time sensitive, some are not so time sensitive. And what I came up with was, as far as the council's responsibilities, offices to be filled by the council, and you've already addressed this first problem tonight, Speaker of the Council and Deputy Speaker. I thought you handled it very well, I might add. So that has already been addressed. The next, as far as my way of reading things, the next priority this council has is to fill the 2 at-large seats within 60 days. You already have a process in place to fill vacant seats on the council. So that should not be a major problem. And then last but not least is this council has to appoint 2 members to the Court on the Judiciary. Now, there's a lot of legislation that has to be addressed as well, but I'll speak to that in a minute. Work that both the legislative and the executive branch have to take up is obviously appointing 2 more justices to the Supreme Court. Now, the JET decision required that be done immediately. And I asked Chief Smith earlier what was his interpretation of that, and he says, well, I don't think it means tonight. And I agree with that, not tonight, but with all due diligence, with all haste, that those seats be filled. And then, as the Chief pointed out earlier in his address, offices of Attorney General, Delegate to Congress, Marshal, Secretary of State, Treasurer, and Secretary of Natural Resources. These are all constitutionally created positions now that must be nominated by the Chief and confirmed by the Council. What is our time frame for all of this? The opinion says in a timely manner. So that doesn't mean, I don't think next week or even 30 days, but I do think under the Constitution that these changes need to be made with due diligence as soon as practicable. Now, legislation required within 6 months. This is something that the opinion did not address, but it is covered in Article 18. The mandate to bring about legislation for impeachment and removal process from office, as well as the recall of elected officials. That, according to the Constitution, must be in place within 6 months of its passage. So you have a timeline on that. Legislation required within 1 year is a system of staggered terms for all council seats. And this comes out of Article 6, Section 3, and the court did address that and specifically directed that that be accomplished within before the next election, which is essentially 1 year away. Then other legislative efforts that will have to be taken up is a permanent election commission, establishing a continuing system of permanent publications, and some of the other topics that Todd raised tonight that is going to require some legislative enactment. All of those fall under the what I would term kind of a catch-all of 18 months, and that is found under Article 18 as well, where it has a general provision that everything else not otherwise designated must be carried out within 18 months. So those are the timelines that we're looking at. So some are immediately. We need to be working on them now. Some we have little time on. Have 6 months, 1 year, and up to 18 months. But all this process must start and must continue in an orderly, diplomatic fashion, statesmanlike fashion. And with that, as I can see, some of you have already started to examine this language and begin to realize that all the answers are not there. But, that is the nature of constitutional law. The Constitution provides a framework, and we're expected to follow that framework, and you as legislators have to examine that and fill in the gaps of that framework in legislation. So it's part of the whole democratic process. And when there's questions that come up that nobody can answer, that's why we have courts to help us interpret and decide those questions for us. So that's all I have to offer tonight. I'd be certainly be happy to try to answer any kind of questions you might have for me.
Anyone have any questions or comments for Mr. King? Mr. Thornton?
Mr. King, it looks like to me that this may be kind of a lawyer's paradise because we've had several law positions here. And there's several positions here that I don't know if there's any positions here that will be eliminated. Do you have any idea?
Positions that will be eliminated
as to will the general counsel be changed over to a different name?
Well, I don't see in that particular instance. I think it would be up to the principal chief. The Constitution does require an attorney general,
but that is not the same thing as a general counsel. They're really two different roles, two different functions. But the new Constitution creates 3 constitutional cabinet positions, but it also allows the chief, with the council, to create additional cabinet positions as the chief deems reasonable and necessary. So there is a transition that will have to take place for sure. But and there will have to be some restructuring as well. But I think the Constitution does provide the flexibility for that to happen.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Mr. King.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ms. Hammonds, did you want to make a few comments?
I don't have anything to add to what Mr. King and Mr. Henry have said. I'll be happy to answer any questions if you have any specifically for me. Mr. Thornton, your comment made me remember something during the convention. I think one of the lay people, because there were a lot of attorneys there, said something about hogs to the trough.
Thank you, Ms. Hammonds. Okay, next on the agenda is action of unfinished business. Seeing there is none, we'll move on down to committee reports. And the first is David Sutherland of the Housing Authority. Good evening, David.
Congratulations, Ms. Bradley and Mr. Hoskins.
Thank you.
Just take briefly to comment on Chief recognizing Ron Froman. He was with the Housing Authority not very long, but he did a lot of good while he was there. A lot of people don't know this, but back in the mid-'70s, Congress had blacked out, took all the funding from Indian housing, and Ron kind of he ramrodded a group that went to Washington, D.C. and got put back in the budget. So he had a lot to do with Indian housing over the years. Excuse me, my voice is just about gone. I probably used it too much today. We're going to have our June board meeting tomorrow evening. over at the Eileen Hogner Conference Room. Have a light agenda with the focus being on the board reconsidering its decision to increase rents for our low-income apartment tenants. The board will also discuss another Title VI program and the Section 184 program. There are some changes involving mortgage assistance program that will be presented to the council at tomorrow's committee meeting. Those changes will tie into the Title VI and the Section 184 loans. The transition to rehab continues. We're working real close with Sharon Lay and her folks to complete that. We had employee meetings the last week of May and asked for volunteers to make the move to the rehab program under the tribe. There was approximately 50 employees that volunteered, which was more than enough to cover what they were looking for. We have almost reached the 2,100 mark for the Community Shield program. I will be visiting with the administration and council about a resolution Ameren would like for the tribe to consider for approval in relation to the Community Shield program. I haven't had time to go through that information very thoroughly yet, so I'll be visiting with you all over the next month or two about that. That's my report for this evening. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer.
Any questions or comments for Mr. Sutherland? If not, thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Cherokee Nation Enterprises, Mr. David Stewart. Good evening, Mr. Stewart.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good evening, Council. Our operating results continue to be strong, although slightly less than March, which was a record month, and slightly less than this time last year. Our native employment remains strong and in excess of 70% of our more than 2,800 employees. We finished our first year of racing at Will Rogers Downs with a success. I'd have to say we continue to forge good relationships with the racing industry and the horse owners. Our staff remains focused upon the opening of our new facility in Salisaw, which we will have a soft opening on the week of the 19th and the grand opening on July 21st. So I will invite you in advance to put that on your calendars. We look to open Tahlequah facility by the Cherokee National Holiday, maybe sooner. Roland is underway. The Travel Plaza is under construction, and we have made substantial improvements to the interior, so I invite you to see that. The expansions at West Siloam, Catoosa, are currently under design, and we will be showing you plans as those are developed. That's my report. I'd be glad to answer any questions that you might have.
Mr. Carvin.
David, I was in Salisaw this weekend for a family reunion. I've come by the casino to tour. Well, it's looking great. I want to compliment the group. But I asked one man, he was doing some fancy tile. They said he was from Tulsa. He was making a curve around there. You couldn't see a swing or anything. I got some outstanding mechanics working there. I know you didn't finish up the entire building, but it's a lot larger than it looks from the highway. It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to the work.
Thank you. We've had a lot of compliments from Salisaw residents about the exterior, and I think everyone is pleased, and it's something that we can be proud of.
Mr. Thornton.
Employment. Would you kind of explain, and I know I was at the last meeting, so I kind of understand this, but would you kind of explain the upper level management and the percentage of Native American there and what you're planning?
I have to look at that right here, Mr. Thornton. Give me just a moment. We do have that broken out by different areas of management. Overall, it's in excess of 70%. I would say that in corporate, if we could look at corporate as a good example of management, our Cherokee employment is 66%, a total of 81% total Native American in our corporate group. Now that doesn't divide it up into the different levels of management, upper, middle, or lower management, but I can get you that in a report. You may have that as part of our report to the district. It remains high at the corporate level.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Mr. Stewart.
Thank you.
Next is Cherokee Nation Industries, and reporting for Mr. Majewski is Brian Collins. Good evening, Mr. Collins.
Good evening, Madam Speaker and council members. Sales for the month of May were $8.7 million, which is 32% higher than May of 2005. Profitability, approximately $329,000. Sales year to date, at the end of 11 months, $88.5 million, which is 16% greater than the same time frame last year. Profitability still is a little bit sluggish, 51% behind the budget. Our next board meeting is June 27th, 3 o'clock in Stillwell in the new IT data center. That completes my report. Is there any questions?
Any questions? Any comments? Mr. Collins, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And next is Cherokee Nation Businesses, Cali Catcher. Sorry about that, Lynn. It's Lynn Owsley.
Yeah, I'm setting in for Callie Catcher tonight. She couldn't be here tonight. She's on the road traveling and is out of town this week, so I'm going to be giving you the report for Cherokee Nation Businesses. That's your newest entity that we have. We've been busy at C&B, and I just want to go over a few of the accomplishments that we've had since the first of the year. We work closely with our other entities, and C&E particularly, and C&I. For C&E, we've been successful at acquiring a couple of motels that are near our casinos. That one at Roland, we've completed that transaction. For C&E, that's now operational. We call that our Cherokee Casino Inn at Roland. We've also completed the motel at Catoosa, and that's our Cherokee Casino Inn at Catoosa. And we've also been able to acquire the truck stop there at Catoosa, which is right now it's in transition. It's got some remediations that's going on there, but we'll be putting that into operation at some point in the future. We also would like to report on one of the entities that we've created within C&B. That's our joint venture on the Environmental Services Group. We call that Cherokee CRC. We turned profitable in April, and for the first month since we've been operational, about last summer when we began this entity. We expect May to be a much more profitable month. We've got about $2.7 million in government contracts in that entity, and it's looking better each year. Each month that we see those results, it's run by Cheryl Cohenauer is the manager of that entity, and we expect great successes there. And last of all, we've got the PACE program that is being funded through C&B. That's part of the construction there. That'll be a long-term lease with a 10-year lease on that facility with the option for the nation to purchase that at the end of the lease. The PACE program, as probably many of you know, is the facility that's going in here in Tahlequah. That's on the Marcoma property. That will be a daycare for senior citizens and for the elderly. That is going to provide for us some long-term profitability, and for C&B, that was a low-risk investment with a nice return. And so we're happy that we were able to fund that particular lease for the nation. I think that's going to be characteristic of more things that we do in the future. And that's my report, Madam Chairman.
Any questions, comments? I'd say Lynn is responsible for most of the business analysis of mergers, acquisitions, contractual arrangements, and she's a busy lady. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, under old business, seeing there's none pending, we'll move on to new business. First is a resolution covering a proposal to the United States Department of Health and Human Services on elder care for a long-time care grant. And Ms. Shopouch.
Okay, this resolution is in the amount of $250,000 and is design and implement PACE satellite
program, and I'll put that in form of motion.
I have the motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. Number 2 is a resolution covering a program for the elderly persons with disabilities. And Ms. Shopouch.
This resolution authorizes for the amount of $240,000, 25% minimum threshold amount match, and 10% cup of on IDC, and I'll put that in form of motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The third item is a resolution authorizing the Department of Children, Youth, and Family Services to submit a grant for the Office of Juvenile Affairs, Emergency Youth Shelter, and Diversion Services. Ms. Shopouch?
This contract is renewal between Cherokee Nation and the Oklahoma Office of Juvenile Affairs for the amount of $267,851.50. So, and there is no matching requirement, so I'll put that in form of motion.
Second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 4 is a resolution authorizing the Department of Children, Youth, and Family Services to submit an application for family violence prevention and services for victims of family violence. Ms. Shopouch?
This is resolution for the amount of $100,000, and there is also no match on this one, and I'll put that in form of motion.
Second. Moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 5 is a legislative act amending on covering our budget for fiscal year 2006. Ms. O'Leary?
Mod 9 includes 19 budgets and increases the spending authority to approximately $5.5 million for a total budget authority of approximately $368 million. I make a motion to put forth Mod 9 with the exception of $30,000 which is contained in item 1.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Can we have a moment to determine which item she's talking about?
Surely.
Refresh my memory, which one?
Linda, you want to repeat that?
Yes. That is item $30,000. Is requesting the $30,000 and spending authority for a donation to the Muskogee Riders Diabetes Wellness Program. It's out of our jurisdiction.
Madam Chair, may
Yes. Sure. Ms. Cowan Watts?
Thank you. I just had a question because I understood part of the Muskogee School is in our jurisdiction physically, the school boundaries, but that they serve a significant amount of our children that have to go into that school district. Is that correct? I don't know if there's anyone to answer. Education's not here, so.
Mr. Garvin, do you have a comment?
Yes. As probably most of you know, District I-20 Muskogee kind of straddles the Cherokee Nation boundary, Cherokee Creek boundary, and we had it checked out, and almost half of the boundary is in Cherokee Nation, and probably more than half the kids are in Cherokee Nation. So I wouldn't want to penalize Cherokee students because we have one of the representatives, Muskogee, Maxine Glory. Maxine, could you shed some light on that for us, please?
In Muskogee Public Schools, we have over 1,075 Cherokee students, and portions of our district also qualify for the tag money. And what this program is it's a summer program that one of their emphasis is the diabetes program to help our youth, our Native American students in learning more about prevention, and also it is involved in the sports activities, and they also are including an educational portion helping the students with their ACT tests, and it's open to all students, but we are looking at 1,000 Cherokee students that we have in the Muskogee schools.
Ms. Watt?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm directing this towards Todd. Is there an opportunity to vote on the amendment separately, or do we have to vote yea or nay, up or down in entirety with the motion just made?
No, you can divide the question to vote on the amendment separately.
Madam Speaker, I
Yes.
would like to divide the motion to vote separately on the amendment to remove, because this did pass committee.
Ms. O'Leary?
I don't have a problem with that, Madam Chairman. I just think that if this is a program that's going to be for this area, all of our other schools and things of that nature should have an opportunity to receive these funds. And what I have a concern about is funding something like this when we have contract health services and our cancer patients being turned down. And I think that there are already programs for the diabetics, walking, wellness, and things like that. And that's the reason some of the councils brought it to my attention, and I was in agreement with that.
Okay. Ms. Sharkey, sorry.
And I believe that it's been our practice when we do a budget mod that we look at each item and pass them one at a time. And I think that this was not voted on and was not passed at the time that we discussed. So it shouldn't have been in the mod, but it was about 6 or 6:30, and there were several people who were in a hurry to get out of there, so it just sort of went through as an oversight. We didn't give Doug a chance to go over it like he normally does to let us know exactly what was in the budget mod. So for that reason, I think that it was left in the budget by mistake.
Madam Chairman, for clarification, she was right. We had a full day, and some folks was giving up their things and said they put it forth, and it was an oversight that we overlooked that. And it wasn't passed as accepted. It was discussed, but it was not passed. It's erroneous that the speaker informed of that because it did not.
Ms. Watts?
I'm slightly concerned because I was at that meeting and asked a significant amount of questions to our good lady sitting there and to Dawn. I remember voting, but I don't have my, excuse me, it's my floor, excuse me. But I don't have our notes yet from Executive and Finance. I recall that we voted to include it, and it is included in the budget modification that we have in front of us. But I think Ms. Melanie Knight would like to speak to that, and I remember her being at the meeting.
Ms. Knight, can you add to that? You want to come to the mic so we can hear you, please?
I'd just like to clarify quickly that this was a budget item that the principal chief promoted. He submitted in the budget mod to the Executive Finance Committee. Your CPA did review that item, and it's in his memorandum that's in your packet tonight. So he did review that, and it was discussed, and various members of the organization came forward and discussed it further during committee. So I just wanted to make that clear. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Shophouse?
I remember that meeting. It was discussed, but I don't think the amount was ever told. I mean, I'm not against the program. I think it's a good program, to get out to schools. But I just want to say, the amount was never told what it was.
Principal Chief?
Thank you. One thing I wanted to clarify is even though the program is located in Cherokee, it's a pilot program, it's an administration program. And it's available for any Cherokee student wherever they're at. And that's one of the things I want to make sure it's not restricted to those kids in Muskogee, to Tahlequah or Holbert or Bryan, any place that they would like to attend, we're welcome to do that.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? Ms. Cowan-Marks?
Thank you. I hate to continue going back to this, but I do remember a specific amount discussed, and it went back and forth, and Councilman Garvin from the district, Muskogee area, did clarify and was very specific on the amount, and as well, I believe the chief, and the amount is designated in the paperwork we have in front of us.
So, Ms. O'Leary, what was the amount again that you're putting forth?
The 30,000.
Okay. We have an amendment that Ms. Watts has put forth in a motion, correct? You want to put a motion to amend?
The call for division for the amendment to be voted on separately from the entire budget modification.
Okay, do I have a second? Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay. Now, she's already discussed it. Do you want to discuss it again? Do you want some more clarification, Ms. Watts?
No, I'm fine. I'm very clear on the issue.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to amend the budget to include the $30,000. Do I have a motion to do that? Is that...
Madam Speaker, I believe it would be just to vote on the exclusion from the budget first. Is that correct, Mr. Hembry? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Vote on the exclusion. Is everyone clear? Mr. Hoskins?
Yes, I understand what we're voting on, but the additional questions I have is that each and every one of us have schools that border our Cherokee Nation. And I appreciate Chief Smith's comments and talking about this being a pilot program. Now, does that mean that if it goes well, we're going to open up all of the schools that border us for the possibility of receiving these funds? And also, the kind lady from Muskogee, when she was talking about who would be, who these funds would benefit, is it all students or Cherokee students or? That's okay. These funds, are they going to be directed toward just Cherokee students or non-Indian students, or who can qualify for these funds as you now have?
And we have all students, but primarily our Cherokee students or Native students who, in many cases, would not be able to attend these type of programs. This would help open it up to have that staff available, and they can come to any of the other programs that the district may have in the summer workshops, sports shops. They're allowed to come at no cost, but this one will not have a cost because we're looking at the donations to help fund this pilot program. And hopefully other schools will take up and use it in their districts also.
Thank you. And Madam Speaker, again, my concern is that it's one of these things where if we do it for one, we need to do it for all, if that's what we choose to do. And we all know that our dollars are extremely limited. And so I just want to make sure that Cherokee students within the 14 counties are not, left out of an opportunity like this if we're going to choose to fund something outside of the Cherokee Nation. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Ms. Connor?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I remember the committee meeting that when we had this, and it was getting late in the day, and we were ready to get out of there, and we did receive the presentation. I just don't think when it was time to vote, everyone realized that that was in there. I didn't until after the fact that was part of the budget mod. I agree with educating diabetes prevention. Just lost my mom 2 months ago because of diabetes, and something I'm going to have to watch myself. However, within this district, we lost a very valuable summer program known as NYSP through NSU because of lack of dollars. And had I known that there was going to be a pitch for dollars for programs like this would have been, within this district, would have been of utmost importance, I believe. Again, I don't want to take away from kids. I guess my question, Miss Glory, is if you don't receive this funding, will your program not be able to operate this summer?
It will not be able to function probably as long as and do as many activities and bringing in especially with the diabetic portion of our program, to educate the kids on the diabetic portion, the wellness of our program.
And as I remember right, when I was looking at the charts, the number of students that were presented to us was, actually the numbers came from like kindergarten through 12, and the program only actually serves 3rd or 6th grade through 12?
The breakdown on the Cherokee students, that's what I have overall, and it does serve 3rd through 12th grade.
Right, okay, so our total numbers are actually different from what the actual number of Cherokee students will be served. I'm gonna have a hard time supporting this also. Like I said, right here in our own backyard, we lost a very valuable program,
and we've got students that are home alone right now because they don't have a program like NYSP to supplement, to help those parents out. So I'd like to look at, I have the same fears as Mr. Hoskin, that we can't start doling out to those that are not within the districts. Our funds are limited as they are. And I'm sorry, Mr. Garvin, I won't be able to support this project in your district.
Thank you. Mr. Garvin?
Most of this happened in the Executive Finance Committee, and there was a big group there, and some of our counselors getting confused. We started early, and they presented right at the first of the meeting. Everybody was fresh. Nobody was tired. They listened. They asked questions, and then we voted. Now, I don't know what all has happened since then, but we were positive that it's going down the right road. And I don't see how you can penalize kids living in Cherokee Nation. A lot of you talking about like we're outside somewhere. We're not outside. We're inside. Some of us are out. Most of us are in. I would say most, but it's about half and half. Now, you got Cherokee kids there that want to do something here as far as diabetes, and I don't see how you can penalize those kids. You mentioned the other communities and schools that want to do it. Well, do it next year. Why didn't you do it this year? We're doing it this year. You can do it next year if you want to. It's up to you. I think we need to help these kids. Thank you.
Mr. Thornton?
Myself, I was at that meeting. I know that we went over the program. It was presented to us. But no one ever made the motion. I mean, you can go back to the minutes and check. No one made the motion to include this program in this budget. That's that program. I like the program itself. I think it being a pilot program, that it probably will give us some information back that we can take to our own communities and maybe bring this into our communities. I think it's going to help our kids through the summer. And I'm going to have to say that I do want to report back on this program myself, and see, just what it actually accomplishes for our children. And I think that I probably would support this program, just on that basis.
Mr. Gordon?
I support it too. I mean, there's ideas we need to start with youth, but I didn't realize from a part of our jurisdiction. But still, there was a lot of things happening between us because there was first a presentation, but I mean, I think it's a very important and vital, for the kids and starting with the youth to do this. But if we start pilot programs, and we should be willing to have pilot programs within the district when those things come up from now on. Thanks.
Way down the end, Mr. England.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I was at the meeting, and it was at the beginning of the executive finance, and I don't remember any of us falling asleep or anything during the whole process. They did a great presentation from Muskogee, and this is something that in my district that we have battled for years and years and years with this border stuff, and I'm so glad that Councilman Garvin brought this up, because as the chief said earlier, this is a pilot program, and I think this will set the wheels in motion to help a lot of us that have border districts, to help our schools that may be a block off the line that serves more Cherokee. So I would have to support this, and I was so glad that these people from Muskogee came down and did a great presentation, and I just can't imagine why anybody thinks it shouldn't have been on this agenda, on this act, because I thought it was voted out of committee that way. I would have to support Mr. Garvin.
Thank you, Mr. England. Any further? Mr. Hoskin?
Madam Speaker, I appreciate you're recognizing me. I will have to say that I do apologize. I was not in attendance at that meeting. My brother was having a heart procedure at St. Francis that afternoon, and I needed to be there. But in reviewing the information that I was presenting and talking to some of the council members, the overriding issue that sticks out is it's simply serving children that's outside of our jurisdiction. Not many of our programs do this. Currently, our scholarship program addresses this need because we address the need in the 14 counties and then the counties contiguous to the Cherokee Nation. But again, when we go outside of our boundaries to try to pick up students to go to school, we pick up Cherokee students only, Cherokee Nation students only. We don't go out and pick up other students, and we try our best to serve the students within the 14 counties first. And again, this is a departure from, as I view it, as the way we fund and try to help our Cherokee children within the 14 counties. I am certainly not opposed to helping children outside, but I want to make sure that all the children within the 14 counties are served first, and make sure that if this opportunity is afforded to our bordering school districts, that each and every one of us have the opportunity to bring those things forward, and each one of them may well serve as a pilot program, because what works in what works in Muskogee may not necessarily work in Coffeyville. So the pilot program may not identify all the needs, but again, we must keep in mind that voting on this is voting to send dollars outside of our jurisdictional boundaries, and that is well within our purview, but I just want to make sure that we understand that, and I truly hope that no Cherokee children within the 14 counties will be adversely affected by not having access to this program. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Leary.
I think that all of us as counselors are aware of the importance of children participating in these wellness centers and things of that nature. And it's not that we're saying that I'm saying that it's a bad program, because it should be a good program. But reiterating what Mr. Hoskins said, we have to first be concerned about our children in our 14 county district. And what my main concern is with this is not the opposition to the program. It is that, are we setting the precedence that then now others are going to come to us and operate outside our boundaries? And what answer are we going to have to them? Because we don't have, or possibly will not have the monies to expand. And that's the concern here. That's why when councilors came to me and wanted the exception made on this, that's why I presented the motion as I did.
Any further discussion? Okay, I have a motion and a second. No further discussion. Roll call vote on the division for the $30,000 program for Muskogee.
Yes means what?
Yes means that you're supporting it. The act of the division, and no means you're not.
And just, Madam Speaker, just to clarify, yes would be to remove the $30,000 from the budget in support of the amendment, and no would be to keep the $30,000
That's correct.
in the. Okay, thank you.
So yes is to leave it out.
Right. Everyone clear? I'm not. Roll call. Yes, Mr. Hoskins.
Our attorney is shaking his head, only it's like.
Mr. Henry, did you have a comment before we vote?
No, ma'am. I'm just trying to get it all clear in my mind also.
He's also an attorney,
That's my
remember?
application. Yes is to exclude the $30,000
From the budget.
in the budget. Got it.
Okay?
Right. Bill England,
No.
Bill John Baker,
Yes.
Alderman Connor. Yes. Joe Crittenden,
Yes.
Meredith Fraley,
No.
Don Garvin,
No.
Charles Hopkins,
Yes.
William Johnson,
No.
John Keener,
Yes.
Jake Von Martin,
No.
Linda O'Leary,
Yes.
Nabana Shophouse, no. David Thornton,
No.
Kara Cowan Watts, no. Phyllis Yargy, yes.
8, 7 yes, and 8 no. Okay. All right. Next, we'll vote on Mr. Garvin.
I want to thank the council for this important vote. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Next, we will vote on the budget with the $30,000 removal. Ms. O'Leary, do we have a motion on that?
Do what?
To keep it.
Call for
Yeah,
question.
keep it. Yeah, okay. Now we will vote on the budget. Any discussion on the budget?
Call for the question.
Okay, roll call. We approve the petition. Todd, can you come over here just a second? Sorry. Yeah. Okay. We're clear. We're going to vote on the budget as a whole now with the exclusion of the $30,000. Roll call vote.
Bill John Baker.
Yes.
Alderman O'Connor. Yes. Joe Prince.
Yes.
Meredith Fraley.
Yes.
John Garvin.
Yes.
Charles Hoskin.
Yes.
William Johnson.
Yes.
John Keener.
Yes.
Jacob Von Martin.
Yes.
Linda O'Leary.
Yes.
Melvina Shoptown.
Yes.
David Thornton.
Yes.
Carol Callen Locke.
Yes.
Phyllis Yarnge.
No.
14-1, motion carries. Oh, you did?
Sorry, Bill Anglin.
Far down the end, Bill.
Yeah.
All right. Next is item 6, a resolution authorizing submission of a grant application for health promotion, disease prevention, and community self-assessment. Mr. Crittenden.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The title of this is Children and Youth Projects for Health Promotion, Disease Prevention. This is from the Indian Health Service. It's a new school community-based component of the Wings Fitness Club with activities, guidelines, and materials targeted to ages 9 through 12. It's a 3-year program or project with $75,000 annually, and I would put that in the form of a motion.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, item 7 is a resolution authorizing the submission of a grant application for the Wings Fitness Club. Mr. Crittenden?
Yes, ma'am. This is also a 3-year project, $100,000 each year. There's no matching funds that I'm aware of, and I would put that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 8 is a resolution authorizing Cherokee Nation Environmental Programs to submit an application for underground storage tank training program for the Intertribal Environmental Council Consortium. Mr. Martin.
Madam Speaker.
Yes.
Madam Speaker, this is a grant fund will be routed through the Cherokee Nation Office of Environmental Program for $316,000, no matching charge. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 9 is a resolution authorizing the Environmental Programs Group to submit an application for a radon pilot program. Mr. Martin.
Madam Speaker, you pretty well told what the resolution is. It is for an amount of $66,365. There is an in-kind match of $37,570. Move for approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, item 10 is a resolution authorizing Environmental Programs Group to submit an application for a municipal solid waste project. Mr. Martin.
Madam Speaker, this is for $100,000, no match, and I'll move for approval.
Second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Item 11 is a resolution authorizing the Environmental Programs Group to submit an application for a lead certification accreditation program. Mr. Martin?
Application is for $74,960, and there is no match. Motion to approve.
Second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 12 is a resolution authorizing a grant of easement for right-of-way over tribal trust land in Adair County, and known as CMS 19, between the Cherokee Nation and Adair County Commissioners for a bridge replacement. Mr. Martin?
I would move for approval. If there's any question, I'd like Ms. Donaldson to hear in the audience, that might answer those questions. This was discussed in our resource committee and approved there.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 13 is a resolution authorizing Cherokee Nation Environmental Programs to submit a grant application for a 2007 Clean Air Section 103 grant. Mr. Martin.
Thank you. This is off my notes. This is a Clean Air Program budget for FY07, requested $750,000. I'll move to approve.
Second. Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, item 14 is a resolution confirming the nomination of Dave Tipiconic to a board member of the Cherokee Nation Enterprises Board of Directors. Fraley. If it's all right with the council, items 14, 15, 16, and 17 are all nominations to the Cherokee Nation Business Boards. And if it's all right with you, I'll go on each one individually and then present them in total for vote. No objection? Okay. Item 14 confirms the renomination of Dave Tipiconic to the Cherokee Nation Enterprises Board of Directors. Mr. Tipiconic has 39 years of proven leadership and is a former president CEO of City Service, or Citgo Petroleum. He is a Native American, and we're very fortunate to have a gentleman of his caliber willing to help bring the Cherokee Nation businesses forward. Number 15 confirms the nomination of Warren Ross as a board member of Cherokee Nation Industries Board of Directors. He has extensive construction management experience, and he's a graduate of MIT and an MBA from the University of Tulsa. All right. And number 16 confirms the nomination of Charles Plunkett as a board member of Cherokee Nation Industries. He's a former Marine and has extensive governmental contracting experience, which is a great fit for C&I because they focus a lot on governmental contracting. And number 17 confirms the nomination of Michael Weber as a board member of C&E Board of Directors. He has extensive sales and marketing experience and has managed multi-million-dollar sales contracts, and he is from Claremore. And Ms. Watts?
I know our good Cherokee from Claremore is in the audience. I'd ask him to stand. Mr. Michael Weber.
Mr. Weber, thank you for coming. Let's see, items 14, 15, 16, and 17, I would present for a vote in toto.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, and we have item 18, which has moved to item 19. So actually, item 19 now is 18. It's a resolution proposing an amendment to Article 3 of the Cherokee Nation Constitution imposing a degree of Indian blood requirement for citizenship in the Cherokee Nation. Mr. Martin is the sponsor of that. Mr. Martin?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This resolution was thoroughly discussed in a Rules Committee meeting, and because of the request of the constituents that I've talked to, and reading from the court ruling that the Cherokee citizen has the right to take this issue for the vote for the people. So, that being said, I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Mr. Hoskin?
Mr. Hembry, the current or the most recent ruling of our Supreme Court, does that have any bearing at all on this action?
Your question is, does the Supreme Court decision in Ray, the 1999 Constitution, or the Lucy Allen case, the 99 Constitution case?
Yes, the Supreme Court ruled on the previous Constitution that we were living under until the Supreme Court issued their last ruling. So.
That is correct. We are under the auspices of the 1999 Constitution. The resolution that is before you here today does have language that would apply, that they have both the 75 and the 99 sections in the resolution itself.
Mr. Martin?
Excuse me for a minute. In my motion, I intended to include a typo error in next to the last page. Todd, you might explain that next to the last paragraph. The date is incorrect. You read that. I want to include that in my motion.
I'll accept the friendly amendment.
The typo is on the first therefore clause. It says, now therefore be it resolved by the Cherokee Nation that through its tribal council that a proposed amendment to substitute language in Article 3, Section 1 of the Cherokee Nation Constitution of 1971, that should say 1975, and Article 4, Section 1, parentheses, paragraph 1, of the Cherokee Nation Constitution of 1999, and that the same be submitted to the duly qualified registered voters of the Cherokee Nation, setting forth the following question. And henceforth is the question. Does the council wish me to read the question for the edification of the audience?
Please.
There is hereby proposed an amendment to the Constitution of the Cherokee Nation. Pursuant to Article 15, Section 2, said amendment would modify Article 3, Section 1 of the Cherokee Constitution of 1975 and the first paragraph of Article 4, Section 1 of the Cherokee Constitution of 1999 to read, notwithstanding any provision of the Cherokee Nation Constitution approved on October 2, 1975, and the Cherokee Nation Constitution ratified by the people on July 26, 2003, upon passage of this amendment, citizens of the Cherokee Nation shall be only those originally enrolled on or descendants of those enrolled on the final rolls of the Cherokee Nation, commonly referred to as the Dawes Rolls, for those listed as Cherokees by blood, Delaware Cherokees pursuant to Article 2 of the Delaware Agreement dated the 8th day of May, 1867, and the Shawnee Cherokees pursuant to Article 3 of the Shawnee Agreement dated the 9th day of June, 1869. Yes in favor of the amendment, no against the amendment, and keep the present language.
Mr. Houston?
Yes, that's fine, thank you.
Any further discussion? Mr. Garvin?
Who should decide the citizenship of the Cherokee Nation? That's the question tonight that we're going to have to decide. It's going to be a big decision. Number one, should it be the BIA? Should it be the JAT? Should the council do this? Maybe the administration? Or should it be the citizens of the Cherokee Nation? Tonight, we're going to decide if the Cherokee people should have a voice in this issue. In 2002, our court interpreted our Constitution one way. In 2006, it interpreted another way, a different way that has been interpreted for the last 30 years. The Cherokee people want to vote. They have the right to vote. This councilman does not want to deny people this right, this duty, this privilege. That's the way it's always been, and that's the way it should be. The Cherokee citizens were very well educated. They know what's going on, and they're ready to vote. Now, we must give the citizens this right to vote. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Comments, Ms. Town Watts?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Although there has been extensive discussion both in our committee meetings as well as on the floor of one of our full council meetings almost 60 days ago, I think many of the issues that have been on the plate during those discussions, they've been in the news, whether they're correct or not. I think most of those issues are irrelevant to the decision at hand. I think Councilman Garvin puts it best for me in that it is absolutely the power of the people, which Justice Leeds refers to in her opinion in Allen versus Cherokee Nation Tribal Council. The question is for the Cherokee people to decide the definition of Cherokee citizenship. The issue is neither for us as the Cherokee Nation Tribal Council, the Justice Appeals Tribunal, which acts as our Supreme Court, nor the chief or deputy chief to decide. I have always understood the Cherokee Nation Constitution to be the supreme governing document for me as a legislator above the treaties and the legislation that may have been put forth. And especially when looked at in the issue of citizenship. Only a constitution decides citizenship because that's the power of the people. For example, would you have the Treaty of Versailles determine the citizenship of the United States? The United States does not, as a constitutional government, does not look to outside treaties to determine the absolute citizenship of our great United States. And we, as the Cherokee Nation, as a constitutional government, do not decide that question either in a treaty. We decide it as the power of the people in a constitution. Our own Cherokee Nation Justice Appeals Tribunal agrees absolutely that Cherokee people have the right to be heard on the issue of citizenship. In the case, Allen versus Cherokee Nation Tribal Council, Justice Leeds herself wrote, "The Constitution could be amended to require that all tribal members possess Cherokee blood. The people could also choose to set a minimum blood quantum. However, if the Cherokee people wish to limit tribal citizenship, and such limitation would terminate the pre-existing citizenship of even one Cherokee citizen, then it must be done in the open. It cannot be accomplished through silence." That is the power of the people through a constitutional amendment in a public election through the democratic process that we see today in front of us. Any of you can read the full JAD opinion online at Cherokee.org or pick it up at Cherokee First through your Freedom of Information Act. But the vast majority of my constituency in Rogers County and throughout that can contact me by email or phone has demanded that the issue be put to a vote in the form of a constitutional amendment. They agree that none of us should decide this issue, nor any external group or organization or powers. The right to decide our citizenship as a tribal people is the ultimate basic right of our sovereign nation, the Great Cherokee Nation. Even if this might someday mean that my own right to citizenship in the Cherokee Nation is terminated due to blood quantum limit. The Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court, has consistently ruled that tribes have the right to determine their own citizenship. So we've been threatened with Supreme Court law cases or suits, and I'm sure that we will be sued should the Cherokee people decide to terminate the rights of any group of citizens. But again, the Supreme Court has consistently agreed that tribal nations have that inherent right to determine their own citizenship. In the recent ruling in Peacock versus England, our own Justice Appeals Tribunal agreed that the Dawes rolls are final in our determining our own citizenship. The newspapers and some of the advocates for the freedmen have tried to muddy the waters in this issue and talk about prior rolls, prior to the Dawes rolls, as determining blood quantum or blood descendancy of freedmen on the Dawes rolls. But the Cherokee Nation, whether you, I, or anyone else agree or not, do not agree with the Dawes rolls, at this time we absolutely decide our descendancy by blood by the Dawes rolls. And that was reaffirmed just last week by our own JAP. I do want to clear up one thing, and I want to make it very clear. Freedmen, as defined by the Dawes rolls, are not Cherokee by blood. And at this tribe, no one has been denied citizenship by blood because of their skin color. Anyone who has applied and has proven descendancy by Cherokee, Shawnee, or Delaware blood, according to the Dawes rolls, has been given citizenship. And if it is otherwise, we need to know. But I have not been alerted, nor any of my colleagues, to one single case where this has occurred. So the whole idea that people are of Cherokee blood or Delaware or Shawnee blood have been denied citizenship is false and misleading. This is a citizenship issue. The question at hand for all of us is, do you have to be Indian to be in an Indian tribe? And that's a pretty huge question. But I believe, whether you agree or disagree with that question, that the Cherokee people have a right to vote on that question. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Ms. Cowan-Watts. Any further discussion? Mr. Hoskin?
Been a suggestion perhaps that someone such as the council can change the Constitution. Someone such as the chief of the Cherokee Nation can change the Constitution. Or possibly the judicial branch can change the Constitution. That's simply not true. The only people, the only group that can change our Constitution is the Cherokee people, and that's well as it should be. Every country throughout the world has the right to determine what qualifies or disqualifies an individual from being a citizen of that nation. The Cherokee Nation is no different. The Cherokee people certainly are no different. That decision will ultimately lie in the hands of the Cherokee people. But the Cherokee people are wise people. They want to make sure that they have all of the information, all of the factual information they can have in order to make a good and sound decision. Some people sell the Cherokee people short. That's far from the truth. The Cherokee people understand and they know what an impact a question like this would have. Cherokee people throughout our 14 counties and throughout the United States have friends who are freedmen. That decision is going to be a very difficult decision to make, but they will make it, as they may have made decisions throughout history. And it will be the decision that will be backed up by our courts, by our council, and by our executive branch. So, true, the Cherokee people are the right place, the right individuals to decide this question. That question can be put to the Cherokee people through this body as a proposed amendment to the Constitution. It can be put to this body as an initiative petition, which is currently going around. The initiative petition is the sole right of the Cherokee people to place something for consideration on the ballot for an amendment. So regardless of what takes place, the Cherokee people will be the ultimate individuals to decide what qualifies an individual as a citizen of the Cherokee Nation. And that is truly the way that it should be, regardless of all the debate that's gone on. The debate is good, but the Cherokee people want and they deserve full disclosure, full factual information, full understanding of what an impact this is going to have, because they truly understand. And with that, Madam Speaker, I would call for the question if no one else wants to speak.
Very good discussion. Thank you. The question has been called. All in favor of this resolution proposing an amendment imposing a degree of Indian blood requirement for citizenship into the Cherokee Nation signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Roll call.
Congressman O'Connor?
Oh, yes.
Joe Quinton?
No.
Mary Fraley?
Yes.
John Garvin?
Yes.
Charles Hoskins?
Yes.
William Johnson?
Yes.
John Keener?
Yes.
Jackie Bob Martin?
Yes.
Linda O'Leary?
Yes.
Melvin Shoptown?
Yes.
David Gordon?
I would like to say a few words before I move on. When this first started, I was like all Cherokees.
We have a point of order.
I would like to say a
Call
few
for a
words.
point of order. The question has been called for vote.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we allow Councilman Clayton to speak.
Second.
Moved and second, any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Mr. Thornton?
Like I was saying, I was like just about most Cherokees, like most Cherokees. My decision at first was no. And then I started thinking and I said, by blood, yes, I have no problem. And then I started reading the treaties, so I brought forward in our rules meeting facts of the freedom. And then I started reading the Constitution. I read the Constitution of the United States, and that's one thing that this council has voted and took a solemn oath to uphold. It's the Constitution of the United States. And I personally think that this violates the Constitution of the United States. And I think if it violates my oath, I think in the 99 Constitution that was just passed that there is a sentence in there about citizenship. And I also think that I went out and visited my people. I didn't see them all, but I did visit a lot of them. And my elders told me that they wanted to vote on this situation. And most of them took full blood for having about voting on this situation. So now I'm going to vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thornton.
Eric Allen Ross? Yes. Phyllis Raji?
Madam Chair, may I ask a question?
Yes. Go right ahead.
Commissioner, can I ask a question? What will this be for citizens? I mean, I don't know, is there a degree so stated in the resolution? Degree of blood so stated in the resolution?
No.
So that's, could be determined at a later date? Or?
Yes, I mean, if there was so desire of the council or initiative petition to set a blood quantum for membership of the Cherokee Nation, that would be done through a constitutional amendment.
In turn, also be disenfranchising citizens?
Yes, if you would set a flood quantum of a significant amount, let's say a quarter or above, you would disenfranchise several citizens.
How many of those citizens are less than a quarter degree of flood? Do they know?
I do not know that information. I would say a significant amount.
Bill Engel?
Yes.
Bill John Baker?
Yes.
13-2, the motion carries. Okay, next item 19 is a resolution calling for a special election on the proposed amendment that was just passed to the Constitution. Mr. Martin.
Actually discussed in our rules committee meeting, and I would put that in form of a motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Any discussion? Any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Thank you. Lots of people in my district have asked me why there's such a need for a special election. And first, I'd like to clarify the process of what's going on so that that's all clear in our minds. And Mr. Hemery or Ms. Hammonds, if you would correct me should I be wrong. But there is an initiative petition begun by our people, former Deputy Chief John Ketcher and Jody Fishinghawk, who have both put forward a petition for the people to sign to put this same amendment on the ballot. The difference between the initiative petition and the two resolutions in front of us tonight is, in the Constitution, both the 75 and the 99, the Tribal Council has the power to put a resolution for an amendment to the Constitution on the next upcoming election with a simple majority. But for the Tribal Council to call a special election requires a 2/3 majority, which would be 10 of the existing 15 council people. And I'll talk briefly here in a moment about why I think a special election is justified. But the initiative petition process really does not go to the Tribal Council, but the people direct that process towards the principal chief. And should an initiative petition be successful and certified by both the Election Commission, Cherokee Nation Election Commission, and the JAT, Justice Appeals Tribunal, then the chief would have the sole responsibility, with no input from the Tribal Council, to call a special election should it be warranted. And in this case, I do believe it's warranted. First of all, I think this question is of such significance that it deserves due diligence and full consideration and debate amongst ourselves as individuals and as community members, and without additional issues to cloud the debate. It needs to be all by itself on a special election ballot. Also, I think we need to expedite. I think there is reason for speed, or sooner than the June 2000 election, because the groups of people that this might affect, which would be, in this case, any non-Indian, and historically that has been both the freedmen and the intermarried whites on the Dawes rolls, those people deserve a speedy answer or conclusion. And I think we should move forward with this so that they can find satisfaction as citizens, if that's what the Cherokee people vote on, or we do take that burden away from the application process and our registration process. Also, I personally, having experienced one Cherokee election, do not want to see our already interesting elections add an additional decisive, what I will call political football, to muddy the waters on how and who our leadership is that we elect. And I personally don't want a decision or an issue with such divisiveness amongst our people, with outside persons and media intervening, to add to the election process. I think it deserves more than that, and I think the election of our leadership deserves more than that. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Ms. Pound-Ross. Any further discussion? Mr. Hoskin?
I've had the honor and privilege of going through 3 election cycles in which the Cherokee people of my district have sent me back here to represent them. And again, it's one of the most proudest honors I've had in my life. I do think the Cherokee people certainly have the ability and certainly have the intellect to sort through a ballot of candidates, determine who would be the best leaders for this nation. Sure, there's going to be some who've already had their minds made up because of issues that have been decided in the past. But the Cherokee people have the ability to sort through numerous issues, leaders, amendments, whatever, and make those decisions in an intelligent way, given the opportunity to have factual information and to be able to have time to digest that information. And I do not think that by having an issue of this importance placed on an election ballot would interfere in any way in the Cherokee people making decisions that will affect not only them but the future generations. And that's exactly what they'll be doing, and they truly understand it. So to separate it simply because it is an issue of such magnitude in and of itself is not reason enough to have a special election held just a matter of months away from our general election. I think that it's something that the Cherokee people deserve to vote on, truly. That's why I voted the way I did in the last resolution. But I also think we need to keep this with our ballots to select our leaders at the June 2007 election. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Hoskin. Any further discussion? Ms. Connor?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Mr. Hembry, one of my questions would be to have a special election in just a few short months with the changes or with the items that we have to put into place from these constitutional changes. Would a special election even be possible?
Anything's possible, but it will be very
realistically and
well. There's going to the resolution calls for a special election to be held on November 4th, 2006. Between now, which is mid-June, in that time, you're going to need to revise the election code. You will need to do you will need to do a lot of things for one. So, I mean, the time constraints is one that obviously for this body to consider. Can it be done? Yeah, just about anything can be done. Will it be difficult? It will be extremely difficult.
because we still have to bring on board 2 more counselors, correct? We still have to figure out how they're going to be elected the next election.
This is our first meeting under the 1999 Constitution. You all have on your plate to do a number of items. 2 more counselors need to be appointed within the next 60 days. Confirmation of an Attorney General that may weigh in on this issue. 2 appointments to Supreme Court justices that may be pertinent in this matter. So I mean, there are a number of items that you will have to consider. It took the former Judicial Appeals Tribunal over 2 years to decide the Allen case. So that in here we're talking about, and that decision's been on the books since March. So it's March, April, May, June. We're 4 months into since the decision in Allen. So yeah, the time constraints is obviously a factor that the council should consider.
Thank you.
Mr. Baker?
Yes, Madam Chairman. I agree with Chuck that the I don't see a problem in this being on a regular election. I don't see that it's going to muddy the water. I don't think we need to rush to a special election and on the lower estimate spend $150,000, on the upper estimate spend $250,000 to $300,000 just to take this one issue to the poll. So I'll be against this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Ms. Callan Watts.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Mr. Hembry. Did we just not review and that most of those questions you had us consider in the time constraints would have to be answered in the next 60 days?
The two counselors that...
And the two JAT?
The two JAT are to be answered immediately. Okay.
So those things that we brought up are not an issue in this time constraint?
Well, you're talking about an election that... Well, and I'm not here to debate the matter.
I'm just asking to clarify.
Within 60 days, you're talking about July, August.
And the election proposed is in November,
which is two months away. I'm sorry, I'm not going to debate that matter.
Okay, my other question is, did the 99 Constitution put us as a body in charge of an election? Logistics? Is that why it's time constraints?
No, you're the person, the entity that is going to run any election, as it is today, is the Cherokee Nation Election Commission. However, the Election Commission does not make laws; they interpret the laws that this body will pass.
But we don't have that kind of time-intensive work that we need to do on top of the constitutional work and then running the election.
You will not run the election.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further discussion? I already had Ms. O'Leary's name down. Sorry.
You know, this is, everybody here knows that tonight's a historic moment. We've heard flower speeches and we've heard true confessions of the heart and soul here tonight regarding this issue and taking this vote to the people. We all know that in visiting with our folks around the counties and jurisdictions that the people want it to go to a vote. The problem I have with the special election is we have a pending court case in Washington, D.C. And I believe those names are Donald and Ronald Moon and Marilyn Van versus Norton. It's still, we're enacting this 99 Constitution, as our justices have ruled, and we still haven't heard, the verdict's still out, the BIA still has an input in this. I don't see the need for a special election here. I don't see the need for the expenditure of the monies. And I think that sometimes we can jump into a situation and make wrong decisions. I think we need to slow down here and stop trying to make all these decisions tonight. And therefore I'm again opposed, strongly opposed to a special election. And let due course take its course. Thank you.
Mr. Crittenden.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm just kind of amazed that 15 independent thinking folks would seem to want to rush to a slippery slope. I don't think the other shoe's hit the floor yet. And I kind of am anticipating it making a thump. I personally know what this is all about, and I think everybody sitting at this table does. And, I can't support a special election, and that's the reason I voted no on the other issue. That's all I have. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Question has been called. All in favor of this resolution calling for a special election on the proposed amendment that was presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
No.
Roll call, please.
Joe Crittenden?
No.
Meredith Fraley?
Yes.
John Garvin?
Yes.
Charles Hoskin?
No.
William Johnson?
Yes.
John Keener?
No.
Jacob O. Martin?
Yes.
Linda O'Leary?
No.
Yvonne Shoptown? Yes. David Thornton?
No.
Carol Callan Wong? Yes. Phyllis Georgie? No. Bill England?
Yes.
Bill John Baker?
No.
Audrey Smith Carter?
No. The vote was 8 no and 7 yes. The motion fails.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Baker?
this time I would ask for your indulgence to amend the agenda for an item that was left off that passed full committee. It's an act to increase C&E's current year's land purchase by $6 million. It needs to be added to this agenda so that they can proceed.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor of amending the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, and that will be item number 22. Okay, next is item 20, the legislative act amending the Cherokee Nation motor vehicle. Could we have it quiet, please? Thank you. Item 20 is an act amending the motor vehicle licensing and tax code. And what that is, it's to provide for the licensings of all-terrain vehicles and to propose certain registration fees. It proposes registration fees for veterans and in particular for the waiver of these fees for veterans who are 100% disabled. And I would move for approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Oh, that's an act, I'm sorry.
By acclamation.
By acclamation. All right, thank you. The motion carries. Item 21 is a resolution calling upon the General Counsel of the Cherokee Nation to investigate actions of the administration concerning the transfer of $750,000 to Cherokee Nation Enterprises. Mr. Thornton? Yes.
As if we do not have a general counsel right here, I'd like to withdraw this.
The motion is that a motion, Mr. Thornton? You just want to withdraw it? Okay. We will withdraw item 21. Next is item 22, which is it's an act to increase Cherokee Nation Enterprises' current year land purchase by $6 million, and it is an act. Do I have a motion?
Go ahead.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Any discussion? Okay. Okay, it will be a roll call vote because it is an act.
Charles Hoskin,
Yes.
William Johnson,
Yes.
John Keener,
Yes.
James Bob Martin,
Yes.
Linda O'Leary, Yvonne Chalkow, David Gordon,
Yes.
Terry Callen Watts, Phil Georgie, Bill England,
Yes.
John Baker,
Yes.
Audrey Farmer, Joe Quinlan,
Yes.
Brenda Fraley,
Yes.
John Garvin,
Unanimous. Motion carries. Next on the agenda are announcements. Do I have any announcements? I have one. Oh, go ahead, Melvin.
Don't forget, the first weekend in July is the Jay's National Huckleberry Festival, and everybody's invited. There's plenty of huckleberries this year.
All right. Ms. Count Watts.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to recognize my husband, Doug Watts, and my good in-laws, Walter and Mary Watts. And would all the Rogers County folks please stand? Rogers County, I know you're in here. Thank you.
Mr. Anglin.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to recognize my mother. She's got a birthday coming up here pretty soon. She'll be 86 years old, and I'd like to recognize everybody from District 8 if you'll just hold your hand up. Well, you won't have to stand up.
All right.
We brought a big crowd down. Thank you all for coming.
Madam Chair?
Just a moment, please. Ms. Connor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would just like to welcome a new tribal citizen that we have, who also happens to be in my district. Connor Blake Hogshooter arrived 6/6 of 06. He is the son of my niece,
Summer Hogshooter and Bobby Wayne Hogshooter of the group Badwater. 9 pounds, 3 ounces, 21 inches long, and beautiful. So, congratulations to them.
Thank you. Ms. Sharji?
Yes, I'd like to recognize all
Miss-
the District 4 people. Just raise your hand. We can scatter around.
He's in a hurry, isn't he? Thank you, Ms. Sharji. Ms. Sharji.
Yeah, done. Sequoia County citizens. Raise your hand, please. Sequoia County citizens.
Sequoia County.
There she is.
Any others? Mr. Hoskin?
With Cherokee, who's traveled all the way down here from Kansas. Excuse me, Bill Davis.
Any others? I'd like to recognize somebody very special to me. That's my Brandon Fraley, my son. Would you stand, Brandon? And I'd also like to recognize some distinguished Mays County residents. They are Sandra Downing. She's a cousin from Mays County, and her daughter Ashley Shadowan. Stand, please. And yes, and she's former Miss Cherokee, by the way. And also, I'd like to recognize some other relatives. One is Geraldine Martin, more affectionately known as Muggs. She's from Mays County, and she works in my store, and she fries mean chicken. And her sister is Sandra Bindabat. She works for the Housing Authority. And how many years, Sandra? 30 years. And one final one is Mr. Adair. Is he here now? Yep. There he is. Mr. Paul Adair from Mays County. And Ms. Shot Pouch, not from Mays County.
I'm not from Mays County, but I want to recognize Brian. It's far above and important than what we're discussing today, what you did this weekend. And keep on to this work.
Ms. Connor?
I'm sorry to ask the mic again. I'd just like to conclude this meeting and let you folks know that sometimes we face some very, very difficult decisions. And one day we know how we want to vote, and we know what we want to do. And then the next day we get more information. Sometimes it changes our minds and what we feel like we need to do. I say this because there'll be 50 million people saying you were the tiebreaker on a resolution, and why did you woo, it happened to be my turn to get to hold that position. We have to make tough decisions, and sometimes the appearance is not always what you get. So I hope that those of you who don't agree understand, and those of you who agree, thank you for your support.
Thank you, Ms. Connor. I agree with that. Mr. Johnson?
I've been quiet.
Unusual.
In all these decisions you make, I have to go back and realize that the ground at the Plymouth Cross is level. As I look around this room tonight, I think this is what heaven will look like.
Thank you very much, Mr. Johnson. Any other comments?
Move to adjourn.
Moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. All opposed, same sign. Can't even hear.